The real-time real estate segment today being brought to you by rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com. Explaining today's mortgage rates. What we talked about just a little bit in the last segment, but I'm going to give you a little bit of history here in another part of this topic. If you're following mortgage rates because you know they impact your borrowing costs, you may be wondering what the future holds for them. Unfortunately, there's no easy way to answer that question because mortgage rates are notoriously hard to forecast. But there's one thing that's historically a good indicator of what will happen with rates, and that's the relationship between the 30-year mortgage rate and the 10-year Treasury yield. Here's a graph we're showing you that if you're watching us on ronsiegelradio.tv, any of our socials, or the ABC News and Talk AM 1490 video feed, we've got a graph that kind of gives you a good indicator of what will happen with rates and the relationship as far as the 30-year and the 10-year Treasury. On the graph, you're seeing Freddie Mac started keeping mortgage rate records in 1972. So if we go all the way back that time, the average spread between the 30-year mortgage rate and the 10-year yield, the 10-year Treasury yield, is 1.72. What does that mean? So if the 10-year Treasury is at 4, just a flat 4, that means mortgage rates historically would be at 5.72. Got it? So that's the difference. That's called 172 basis points. If you look at the trend line, you can see when the Treasury yield trends up, mortgage rates will usually respond. And when the yield drops, mortgage rates tend to follow. While they typically move in sync like this, the gap between the two has remained at about a 1.72 between that for some time. But what's crucial to notice is the spread is widening far beyond the norm lately. Look at the graph that we have on here now, 2.828. Big difference. If you're asking yourself what's pushing the spread beyond its typical average, it's primarily because of uncertainty in financial markets. Factors such as inflation, other economic drivers, and the policy decisions of the Federal Reserve all are influencing mortgage rates and widening the spread. Why does this matter for you? This may feel overly technical and granular, but here's why home buyers like you should understand the spread. It means based on the normal historical gap between the two, there's room for mortgage rates to improve. And experts think that's what lies ahead as long as inflation continues to cool. Odetta Cushy, Deputy Chief Economist of First American, quote, "It's reasonable to assume that the spread and therefore mortgage rates will retreat in the second half of the year if the Fed takes its foot off the monetary tightening pedal. However, it's unlikely that the spread will return to its historic average of 170 basis points as some risks are here to stay. Regulations." Similarly, an article from Forbes says, quote, "Though housing market watchers expect mortgage rates to remain elevated amid ongoing economic uncertainty in the Federal Reserve's rate hiking war on inflation, they believe rates peaked last fall and will decline to some degree later this year, barring any unforeseen surprises," unquote. Bottom line, if you're a first-time home buyer, current homeowner thinking of moving into a home that better fits your current needs, keep on top of what's happening with mortgage rates and what experts think will happen in the coming months. If you want to keep on top of them, real simple, just get that 1-page or 2-page article we put out every morning, rsrmarketminute.com, rsrmarketminute.com. That's the real-time real estate segment, again, brought to you by rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com.